Nicks and Bruises, we are back. Shout out to the chat. Yo, Black is time. Got my guy Sim in the building, fresh off the MVK channel. We just talked about Mikal Bridges getting his extension. So I want to talk about the next one up, Richie Robinson. Does he get the extension? Should the Knicks give him an extension? Should they trade him? Or should they let the season play out and decide then? So I want to just kind of give scenarios on, you know, the two other options before we talk about the extension. Um, Playing the season out to me is a risk, right? If he shows he's healthy and can play, you know, a 70 game season, a 65 game season, um, the value goes up. And I don't think you can really negotiate, you know what I mean, as far as do you want to bring him back or not at that point. I think the ball becomes completely in his court. You know what I mean? He may shakes the biggest bag. He may look at the Knicks and value his time here and want to continue it. Who knows? Um, Trading him. I think if we're trading him, it's probably him and someone else for a big fish, right? I don't think you're trading him alone as a standalone option. What's he making? 14 or 12 this year?
I think it's 14.
So at 14 million, I don't know if you're even getting the value back on a 1-for-1 swap that Mitchell Robinson brings. Obviously, the extension, he could get 4 years, 78 million. I think that would be like his max extension at this point. I say this. Does he take a discount? Right? Does he shave some money off the extension? I think the Knicks can negotiate if they're talking to him now, as opposed to waiting the season out and losing some of the leverage and the negotiation things. So I'm gonna propose the question to you, and then I'll give my what I think we should do and that. But Sim, what do you think the Knicks should do? Should they complete the cipher and give him the extension and lock him up for the future?
That's a tough one. I don't know. I don't know, because I guess my question is, well, I guess it's going to depend on the contract. What kind of contract it is. If the contract is really reasonable, where it can be tradable, then I say go for it, because you can trade them, right? Even though he has an injury history, but I think his injury history will be what can help determine his contract, his value as a player, right? So, man, I think if it's the right contract, maybe you can, because then his if it's the right contract, if his injury history does lower his value, his play might outvalue his contract, if you understand what I'm saying.
If he's healthy,
if he's healthy, if he stays healthy, right, then his play may outvalue his contract, which would make him more valuable on the trade market if you wanted to trade him, and obviously more valuable to your basketball team. But if you sign him to any contract and he continues to have the injury issues, hopefully the contract that you sign him to, matches his value as a player if he continues to have injuries.
Let me ask you this.
Well, let me say one. I do think that he's becoming more balanced as a player. Like, his balance is better, not hitting the floor as often, and that's going to help his balance, I think, and coordination. I think is going to help him stay away from the injuries.
when you say because I when you say depending on the contract, are you saying, are you referencing the length or the dollar amount?
dollar amount and length. Both of them together.
Because you can negotiate again, because these are some things I was going to bring up. If we're extending him, it doesn't have to be 4 for 78. Somebody forgive me forgetting who it was, but somebody on your show, uh we just ended, said it could be 2 for 37. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it's not the long term risk, you know what I mean, and you're still giving him the not necessarily the max, but close to that max for that duration. So
Right.
when are you negotiating both sides, where you're saying, all right, we'll give you the money, but we only give you 2 years, and you're saying, all right, that's feasible? Or are you saying we'll give you the 4, and I think 78 is too much? Like, where do you stand on the 4 for 78, 2 for 37, or less money with 4 years? You know what I mean? Like, how are you looking at that? Because to me, that's how you can negotiate now, currently.
Hmm.
If
Hmm.
you're trying to negotiate and get something done, you know what I mean. All right, Mitch. Listen. You know how history has been. We know what your value is when you're healthy, and I want to speak to that because
Right.
I think his value in the playoffs and his impact in the playoffs, I think that up increased his value, even though he only played 16 games or whatever it was. You know what I mean?
I
His
think,
impact in the playoffs.
yeah, I think I like what TJ is saying. 2 for 37 with an opt out clause after the first year, right? So it's 2 years, 37 million. Okay. That's, 17 million, 18 million, $18.5 million a year, right? But the second year is an opt out where, you know, he gets a chance to extend it for more if he's healthy, if, whatever it is. But you can also throw some incentives in there. You play a certain number of games, you get this, right? To even out the contract.
That's exactly where I was going next. Um, because I talk about his impact in the playoffs, right? Which,
Hmm.
in my opinion, was undeniable. You know what I mean? Like, the, he solidified the defense
Hmm.
when he was on the floor, and it was hard for teams to kind of counteract that if they weren't trying to put him on a free throw line to essentially get him out the game. You know what I mean? Um, and then you look at guys throughout the league. You know what I mean? Like, historically, even the guys who have dealt with injuries, and again, I'm gonna name two guys, but and I'm not comparing Mitch to them as far as value and eliteness. You know what I mean? But Joel Embiid being one, injury history still gave them all they could. Zion
Hmm.
being another, and that goes to the incentive based contract, right? Where I think that would be another great negotiating tool for the Knicks. All right, we'll give you the money you're asking for, we'll give you the years you're asking for, but it's going to be incentive based. You have
Right.
to play 65 games or whatever the incentives you want to put in there. And I think that's a fair negotiating tool. Um, if he's healthy, I think he's worth the full 4 for 78. To be honest,
Let me ask
um,
you this: how much do the Knicks see Huck Porty as his replacement?
I think they do. I do think they do, but I also think they don't. I don't think they're willing to let him go. Like, for instance, move if they had to make that decision now. I don't know if they would be ready to slide Porty into Mitchell Robinson's role. I think Porty to them still needs another year under his belt, or two, whatever, to kind of solidify himself in this league. The same way Mitchell Robinson needed time to grow from year to year. So I think they look at him as a long term solution more than immediate impact. You know what I mean? Like a guy that can immediately replace Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah. Okay. And the reason why I ask that is because I think that goes into how much they, how hard they negotiate with Mitchell Robinson. You know what I'm saying? If they feel like, you know what, we got Huck 40, so they may not negotiate it. They may negotiate tougher,
Hmm.
right? We got Huck 40, so we're gonna get him for what we want him for, or not at all, because we believe in Huck. If they don't believe in Huck like that, then it may be more like, we're kind of hamstrung here. We got to give him what he wants, or let's hope that we can negotiate with him. You know what I mean?
Let, let's talk about the last option of letting him play the season out. What are your thoughts? Do you think the Knicks are looking to negotiate now, currently, or potentially looking to play the season out and then make that decision? How do you feel? What do you feel they're doing? How do you feel about waiting the season out and making the decision then?
I think I don't mind waiting the season out. You know, because even if you wait the season out, you can still sign him before he goes to free agency.
That is true.
You know, you can still sign him before then. So yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind waiting the season out.
I think that's the biggest risk out of all three options. Um,
Waiting the season out.
I do.
Mm.
Um, Especially if I haven't heard anything, but especially if he was looking to get the extension done, you know what I mean, prior to, like before the season starts this
Hmm.
season.
Hmm.
If that became, you know what I mean, like all right, they just bumping heads, or they didn't even want to negotiate. They like, no, we're waiting. Um, he may want to just test the waters at that point anyway, and that's what I mean about the biggest risk. And losing him is a risk because whatever we extend him for, whatever we sign him for, that money doesn't become available to us if we lose him. You know what I mean? So if we were gonna potentially give him 4 for 78,
Hmm.
and we don't, it's not like we have that 4 for 78 available for somebody else. As a matter of fact, we'll only have the taxpayer mid level like we did this year, and that's
Right.
going into next year. So you're looking at replacing Mitchell Robinson with a $6 million player potentially, unless it is a party or somebody internally. You know what I mean? As opposed to paying him what whatever that contract ends up being. I don't think we're gonna find Mitchell Robinson value with the taxpayer mid level exception. So I
Right.
think that's why it's so risky for me. I think if I'm in the next front office, I'm negotiating or trying to, trying to negotiate as early as possible.
Hmm. It's tough, man. It's a tough one because hmm, if you do okay, let me ask you this: you still gotta, if you negotiate early and you sign them, you still gotta wait 6 months before you can trade them, right?
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. Which is
Hmm.
also another reason to do it now and open up. You know what I mean? If you be able to, if
Do
you
it
do it,
now. Do it
same with
now.
Mikal Bridges. If he signs it
He can.
before the seventh
Right.
or before the 6th, he could be traded at the deadline. which it would be, right around 6 months.
Yeah.
So
Mm. It's tough. It's tough.
yeah, that's what nigga. Shout out to Nostalgic.
Yeah.
Sign him and wait 6 months.
But then if his agent knows, because he don't have the agent that gave out the free harmonicas anymore, right? That guy was smart, but this guy is more experienced. If his agent knows that, okay, if we sign right now, they can still trade us at the deadline. Like, he, they're probably like, nah,
We'll sign it
we'll
on
wait.
the 7th.
Yeah, or we'll wait. Or what if Mitchell Rock? What? How do you think his team feels? Are they willing to wait?
I
Are they
think
okay with waiting?
I think given Mitchell Robinson's injury history, his team and himself obviously have to be looking at it as I rather lock up secured money for the next 4 years. I think
Hmm.
they will be willing to negotiate. So if it's not the four for 78, he might, maybe he takes 4 for 60. You know what I mean? Maybe he does that. Maybe he takes uh the 2 for 37, like the the, the chat said. So I think he wants to get the deal done, maybe more than the Knicks, but I would put it at equally. They both want to get the job done. Like like Bagley said about Mikel and the Knicks mutually wanting to get it done. I think Mitchell Robinson and the Knicks both want to get it done. Here's the
Right.
kicker, though. Here's where this may not hold true. We
Hmm.
have a new coach here. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? I don't know how Mike
How much does he value? Yeah.
exactly. I don't know how much Mike Brown values him. You know what I mean? I mean, granted, I'm sure he's seen some Nick games over the past, couple years or whatever the case. I'm sure he knows who he is, but it's not the same when you're inside the gym, inside the locker room, inside that coaching staff and witnessing players day in and day out when you play them
Yeah.
2 to 4 times a year. So I think that's the riskiest thing, letting it, waiting and potentially losing him for nothing. But
Yeah.
you did bring a great point that they can still sign him before he actually hits the free agency.
Hits free. Right.
In that
Right.
little window.
You got a
So
little window there. You got a little window there where you can still sign him, so you can see, does he stay healthy? How much has he developed, so on and so forth, and then you know go from there and sign him and sign him before he hits free agency. I think I would go that route. I just I'm just nervous.
I don't know.
I'm nervous, yeah.
I think I would pay him. I think I would pay him. Try the shorter term one just to mitigate some of the risk.
Hmm.
If you could put some incentive and game incentive in the contract, I do that as well. But again, you do it now, we don't become. I mean, if you extend them, we will be in the second apron for sure next year. But it's next year. You know what I mean? So you, even with that, you still have wiggling room to try to
Right,
get out the second apron and whatever before you get to the free agent or before you get to next season. So
right,
I would do it now. I think ultimately the Knicks will end up in the second apron anyway. You know what I mean? At some point. Um, but again, his impact, man, his impact. I get him in 25 minutes per game. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to overexhaust him. I'm trying to. We got the best medical staff in the NBA currently. You know what I mean? And who's to say maybe he was available to come back earlier, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was. And they was like, no, we're playing it safer than we've ever done before. You know what I mean? Because he's always said, or he's always come back. You know what I mean? Sooner than he should have
Right.
over his tenure here. And this was the one time that I think the Knicks and him or collectively they was overcautious, and that's understandable.
Yeah. Hmm.
Shout out to Bodega Wi-Fi. He said Leon lost iHeart taking a gamble. Um, and I agree with that just by not extending him. And again, I don't
By
know
not
if
extending them early, you're
early.
saying.
I don't. Yeah,
But
but I
but
don't
what?
know.
But,
I don't know if that was on the table or not
right,
for
right, right.
iHeart's
And
perspective.
the injury history is not the same. And iHeart, yeah, I think it's a little bit different because their production was so much different. You know, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. I
Yeah,
really think it depends on how much they think they can replace Mitch. I feel like they're gonna wait until they're gonna let the season ride. I feel like because, well, I guess one of the um dangers of letting the season play out is, the agent starting to get a feel, more of a feel on what other teams might offer him, right? As a let's say he's playing well and staying healthy. Backdoor channels. Hey, we'll outpay. We'll outpay the Knicks for Mitch. That's one of the dangers.
Sherwin. Shout out to Sherwin. He keeps saying he's gonna make 33 million, but
A season,
I, that, yeah,
a
that's what he
season. He's going to
that,
make the same. He's going to make as much as McCall.
oh, I can't see that happening in the open market um at all. Like he would have to win defensive player of the year this year to command a $30 million salary. But he also said Brick Lopez I don't think he's making 24 now, but I think last year 24. Nick Claxton 24. And I do think Nick Claxton is probably more of a comp, or even Allen. Both of those guys may have elevated their game more offensively over the past couple years than Mitchell Robinson has.
Hmm.
So I think there is an argument still for him to make less than those guys, just based off of their two-way potential as far as being an offensive and defensive threat. Um, so yeah, I try to lock him up now though. Lock him up now. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Get him under contract, get it secured. I don't think at 20 million per year, roughly, you know what I mean, 18. I don't think that's a untradeable contract.
It's
It,
not. It's not.
unless knock on wood, the injury history rears its head again.
Right.
But yeah, man, I would do it. Sim what says wait it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think I'd wait it
I
out. It's
here's
risky
one thing though.
business.
If you wait it out, it's it's an option. It's not guaranteed, but there's always an option. He finds a home. You do a sign and trade. Maybe they got some players that they're willing to send
Hmm.
over and kind of you know soften the blow. Um,
Right.
so there is that. Um, but yeah, I, I don't know if Mitch wants to wait it out either. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he may want to secure that bag, knowing his history. So again, the Knicks, I think they have more leverage to negotiate now than they would potentially after waiting it out, if all things goes well for Mitch Robinson, and he has a full healthy year, that number does go up. It skyrockets, I believe.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Any last words, Sandra? Oh, no, go ahead.
I also think he's going to have a healthy year. So I do. And part of it is because of, what I was saying. I think that he's becoming more
Balance.
balanced. His balance is better. You know, I think that, he's not, he doesn't play with as much reckless abandon. I mean, he wasn't like Josh Hart reckless abandon, but, I think he's understand. I don't have to go for every block. I can judge to see if I can actually get that block. Um, I think he's more coordinated. Just the years of training, I think he's more coordinated now. You know, so I think he's gonna have a relatively injury free season.
Don't let my man come in shooting 68 to 71% from the free throw line.
I mean, if
don't
he
don't
shoots high
don't,
from the
don't.
free throw line, you know what I mean. That'll change it. That'll change a lot if he has a good year from the free throw line. I
Negate
don't
that
know. But
negate that Hackovich situation, and even when they're not doing it as a threat to get him to the line, they still trying
mhm.
to stop him from getting that putback dunk and all that. So yeah, if he could shoot the free throws, I'll even take 65. Get it up to 65. I think that price going up.
Mm.
But
Yeah, I guess.
we we we,
I don't
we
know,
shall
man.
see.
It's I think it's how long do they have? Well, I guess they have all season to extend them, right? Or is there a date? Is there a date like I think there's a date in October, probably from now until October, and then
Yes,
after
and then
October, after that date in October, they got to wait
yes,
until after the season, right?
yeah, and then they have that window while the season ended before free agency actually hits, where they could start. You know what I mean? Renegotiating again.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm glad McCall's locked up. You know what I mean? I say finish the cipher, close the cipher. Shout out to DJ Shadow. He said negotiating leverage. You are right, but no way am I supporting signing him now. He got to prove it. Throw some incentives in that contract. You know what I mean? Where I don't know if you want to use the same language as Zion, and where the contract could literally be completely voided. You know what I mean? But you could write up the contract any way you want. It could be half the contract guaranteed. It could be you know what I mean. It could be whatever you kind of agree to.
yeah.
But yeah, I do it. We shall see. Shout out to the chat, man. Appreciate you guys. Sim,
Yeah. I think it's gonna be it's gonna be a conversation all season long.
if he doesn't do it, and that's
You know what I
another
mean?
reason. That's another reason why I always like getting them done, because it will be a conversation all year long. You know what I mean? Peace of mind. Peace of mind.
Yeah,
Help people play better. You,
yeah.
you know what I
And
mean?
and and they're battling for a championship. So you know
You
what I
don't
mean.
need that noise, that chatter.
You don't want that noise, right? You don't want that noise.
But one more time with Shuttle, he said more money, less years if you have to do it. I agree. The 2 year, 2 year with a good chunk of change. Not only does it save you some, what I mean, risk as far as 2 years of risk, but also the higher that contract is, the more valuable it becomes as a collective trade piece. You know, add
Right.
him with this guy, you can go get that guy. So
Right. Right.
when you back on, Sim, I know kind of sporadic right now, but
It's kind of sporadic, you know what I mean? I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I'm not
but
sure. Um, you know,
whenever
only
you're
thing I
ready, man,
do
you know,
know, the
just
only
hit
thing
me
I
up.
do know is when the schedule comes out, I'll be on like clockwork.
Your schedule will come out.
No, the
When,
Knicks
no,
schedule.
no, I said when their schedule comes out, your
When their
schedule will come
when
out.
their schedule comes out, my schedule, yeah, there you go.
um, Sim, man, I appreciate you jumping on with
No
me.
doubt, bro.
I got an early morning, so I'm gonna cut it short and wrap it up. Chat, appreciate you guys. Replay gang. Until next time, real blackest time. I'll be back Monday. Peace, family.
Peace. We out.